Welcome to this edition of Mayor's Report Livermore. I'm your host, Dr. Marshall Kamina, and joining me today is Mayor John Marchand from the very city of Livermore, my favorite place. Welcome.
Well, it's where you live. It's where we both live. Great community. It's always a pleasure to be here, Marshall.
You always have wonderful things to share with our viewers. I wonder if you brought any with you today.
A couple of them. So, hot off the press, this is just brand new. Livermore now has 2 new planning commissioners. The planning commissioners are the ones that review projects, and they have intimate knowledge of the design reviews, design codes, municipal codes, general plan, all of those sorts of things. So they're the ones that decide if a project can be built in Livermore, and the city council decides if it should be built. So they're more of the nuts and bolts, we're more of the politics on the council. So we have 2 new planning commissioners. We have Charity Steele, who is a member of the Livermore Downtown Inc. Association. She's a member of the board. And another new commissioner, as a familiar face for everybody, is Nadine Horner, who really was the face of Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory. She was in government affairs there. And she's continuing this long continuity of service. You may remember Nadine was the executive director for the Chamber of Commerce when she first came here.
Yes, I do.
And then she worked for the laboratory,
yes.
And she's been there for a number of years. And now that she's retired from the lab, she still wants to maintain that continuity of service. So she applied for the Planning Commission, and both of them bring this love of our community and this passion for the community, and they want to keep Livermore.
Yeah, her husband was very enthusiastic about the community.
Well, he was on the Planning Commission, and he was on the City Council. You know, Doug Horner did great work for the city as well. So it's funny. It's almost becoming generational now. We've got these long-standing commitments to our community. So that's good. They were just appointed recently. Also, Livermore was named a bronze level bicycle-friendly city.
About time, isn't it?
By the League of American Bicyclists. It shows, it highlights our commitment to making biking safer and more accessible for everybody. We've added new bike lanes throughout the community on First Street and Bluebell. Also, new trail connections near North Livermore and Collier Canyon. We've also got separated bike lanes now on North Canyons Parkway. So it just keeps, traffic's over here and the bike lane is separated, so it keeps it that much safer for the cyclists.
That's important,
to encourage them. Absolutely, because people don't do as when you're running up against a car that weighs a couple tons. It doesn't do well when you're on a bicycle. So as much as we can have those separate lanes. But it was nice to get that recognition that we are a bronze level friendly city for bicyclists.
It's been too long since the bike-a-thon. I'm not even using it correctly.
Oh, it was the Tour of California. That was the Amgen Tour of California.
Do they still have it?
They still they always came through Livermore. It's just that Livermore the last few times decided not to pay $100,000 to be a part of the tour. They still went through Livermore. But what kind of upset me was when they gave the state of California a free pass to go to Mount Diablo, and they allowed San Francisco to get a free pass to go across the Golden Gate Bridge, but they wanted $100,000 from the city of Livermore and 200 volunteers to have a start stage in Livermore.
Well, that certainly seems fair, doesn't it?
And I thought, you know what, our volunteers are busy enough as it is, so we don't need to do this. But they still came through Livermore. It's just that we didn't have to pay for it.
Well, we were able to snatch one of their shirts. Do you remember that?
I remember that, and we had Levi Leipheimer and all the greats coming through Livermore.
Well, thank you for all the information. And
well,
brings back some good memories.
You were the one that brought it here. You're the one that brought the Amgen tour, and you were a beneficiary of the Amgen. What Amgen sells. You were a recipient and a benefactor of the pharmaceuticals.
I wouldn't be alive today if it hadn't been for an experimental drug that they made, and we got compassionate care permission. And so I'm now the longest living, I hope, stem cell recipient from UCSF.
Well, that was cutting edge, and that was very exciting. And I remember the first year that you were out here, and you fired the starting pistol for the MGen tour when we had the start stage.
Yes, that's what got me interested in fireworks.
Yeah, well, no, because you were always. I mean, I happen to know what your license plate means. So.
There you go.
But that's part of the great things that we had here with the MGen tour, and I recognize the tremendous work that everyone does there.
The downtown people are very cooperative too, aren't they?
You know, and I think we're going to talk about that. Well, they just hired a new Livermore Downtown Inc. just hired a new executive director. Kara is coming back. She was worked for Livermore Downtown Inc. for a while, and then she was up in Martinez, and now she's coming back.
Oh, wow, welcome.
Yeah, so all sorts of stuff going on.
How about the comprehensive financial report?
Yes, the ACFR, as they call it, the Annual Comprehensive Financial Report. So we got a clean audit.
Yes, and what does that mean?
43 years in a row.
Wow.
Well, it shows that we've got strong financial stewardship, transparency, and accountability. That we've gotten a clean audit. It shows that we're good stewards of the public funds that we administer.
For 36 straight years.
Well, it's 43 consecutive years for the auditors reviewing the financial statements and confirming that we fairly and accurately represent the city's financial position with no misstatements or no sort of fudging the numbers there. And it shows that we ensure that the revenues, expenses, and liabilities are all properly recorded, and that we've got robust internal controls to ensure we don't have any fraud, waste, or misuse of our taxpayer dollars. Also, we did receive the Government Finance Officers Association Certificate of Achievement, and we've achieved that for 36 straight years. And that's really the gold standard of these financial audits. Again, showing our transparency and accountability, and showing that we are good stewards of the public's money. And when you're looking at some of the other cities around us, when they're running deficits in the tens of millions of dollars, there's one city here in Alameda County, their structural deficit is more than my entire general fund.
Their deficit?
Their structural deficit is more than our general fund.
Wow, that's not where Linda Smith is going to Windy, is it?
No. It's not a Tri-Valley city, but it's remarkable. And I'm very proud of the fact that we have this long-standing record, accountability, transparency, and exemplary fiduciary responsibility. That we've for the 36th year in a row, we've got the Government Finance Officers Association Award.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back on this edition of Mayor's Report Livermore in just a moment.
So what are some of the new construction projects coming in?
Well, I'm really excited about the expansion of Livermore's historic Blacksmith Square. Blacksmith Square has always been a downtown favorite, and this expansion is going to make it even better. The developer is bringing in 3 new buildings totaling over 13,000 square feet of new shopping and dining space. So residents and visitors to downtown will have even more options to eat and shop and connect with family and friends.
Welcome back to this edition of Mayor's Report Livermore. Now, we just saw part of an interview you recently did with Brendan Cardwell for another one of our programs, Slice of Life. The viewers can watch this entire interview on this month's Slice of Life program on TV 30. You spoke about the downtown and some of the projects. This leads me to question 1, which is, what about the general plan?
Well, the general plan is something that we undertake about every 20 to 25 years, and it's to project what happened. So you may remember that I was on the General Plan Committee 23 years ago. In 2002, I was part of the General Plan Review Committee with Tom Gamble from Shea Homes and Don Miller from No Growth. And you couldn't have two people more far apart, more polar opposites.
They're probably still fighting.
And there was no blood drawn, but we came up with the general plan for 2023 to current day. So since our general plan is about 22 years old, it's time to do a new one, because this really is a living document. And what I think is interesting is the general plan that we did in 2003 was planning for a horizon to about 2025. And we figured out that back then, in 20 years, the Livermore population would be around 95,000 people. And we were up to about 89,000. We've dropped a couple since then, but we're around 86, 87,000 people right now. So having looked in that crystal ball 20 years in the future, I think we were pretty close.
Pretty darn close.
Yeah, and so we want to make sure that we've got planning for residential, for our commercial, and to maintain the inventory that we need for future industrial, commercial, and residential lands. So we were looking at, in this particular general plan, we were looking at several specific areas. There was Vasco Row, because that's going to be sort of an entryway into our wine region.
Yes.
Also Laughlin Road. It looked like a good spot. It may be somewhat underdeveloped. So since we've got these regional housing needs assessment or RENA numbers, right, we need to meet those. So it looked like Laughlin might be a good place to re-envision with some additional housing out in that area, because we already have the infrastructure in place. And then looking at the what we call Midtown, and this is on South Front Road, as another sort of receiving site. We're envisioning a transit-oriented development there, where we have perhaps, well, there is an ACE station over there, but we're also looking to bring in Valley Link to have this transit hub where people can live, work, and then move via transit to wherever else they may need to be.
Is that still under consideration?
So these were the three main. They were also looking at one on Las Positas, but that didn't seem to fit in quite as well. So we're looking at these three areas for possibly re-envisioning what those are going to look like in this next general plan. So we've got long-term vision on this. We're taking public input. The General Plan Advisory Commission has been working on this for 3 years now.
Okay.
So I was involved in this one too. I thought, well, I did the last one, I can go ahead and do the next one. So I was on there for about 1.5 years, and then I got promoted. And I guess I was on there about 1 year. So I got promoted and back onto the council as mayor. So they've continued to do this work. We started out with a committee of 19 people. Through some attrition, because it's 3 years is a long process. I think we're down to about 13 people, but they've been working very hard. They made a presentation to the council and also to our planning commission, sort of an interim to see where we're going. And now they're getting down and starting crunching all the numbers to ensure that we can meet all of the needs for this community for the next 20 years. And then in 2045, we'll come back and revisit it again. But if
maybe you'll be back.
I intend to be back. But if people have concerns about that, they can go onto the city website, and it's imaginelivermore2045.org. So we are expecting the draft environmental impact, or draft general plan document and the environmental impact report will be available for the community later this summer or early fall. We'll have community engagement activities where we'll be going to farmers markets. We'll be looking at pop-up events in the downtown and throughout the community to get more public input. We've had a number of touch points for the community on the general plan. But as I said, if people have further comments or they want to get a sneak peek at it, go to imaginelivermore2045.org, and then they can see what it's all about.
Is the general plan specific enough to address ADUs?
We look at those, but those are more part of the specific plan.
Yes, that would seem.
And so the general plan is more overarching, and then we have specific plans. But of course, the state allows those just about anywhere. The ADUs.
Yes, indeed, and they have some new potential requirements. Maybe in a future mayor's report we could discuss it.
Well, and one of the problems is when your home was built, you paid for the water infrastructure, you paid for the water meter, and we sized everything in that neighborhood for the demand of all the single-family homes. Well, if everybody starts developing ADUs, all of a sudden we're going to increase the demand on the system perhaps 30%. Well, we haven't calculated that the pipes, the infrastructure, wasn't made to meet that demand. It's like when Scott Wiener was talking about putting 8-story buildings anywhere near transit. Well, excuse me, our infrastructure wasn't designed for that. We designed infrastructure for, say, a parking lot, and now all of a sudden they want water to push up an 8-story building. Not going to happen. You got to replace the infrastructure.
There's a plan afoot to potentially make an ADU separately described so the person would own it as a parcel, as individual, and no longer described as part of the parcel where you live.
And they never had to pay for a water meter.
That's right.
They never had to pay for a water connection or a sewer connection.
Yes.
And all of those will ultimately impact the demand and the impacts on the system.
Well, it may be interesting to talk about as
Sure.
time progresses.
Yep.
Are there any other upcoming events you'd like to share with us?
Well, we've got, so our Livermore Police Department and Las Positas College have a great event that I think this is the third one we've done. It's a catalytic converter etching program, and it's going to take place March 25th from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. All you have to do is, it's free. Just show up and get in line by 3 o'clock, and you can get your catalytic converter etched, and that way, hopefully, a potential thief will see that.
What a great idea.
And he won't take it, but if he does, he's carrying around your ID, and he'll be easier to catch or get it back to you. And also, we've got our Livermore Reads Together program. This month was Dr. Seuss's birthday. So as part of the America Reads Together program, we were reading The Wild Robot together as a community. And so we've got some great programs going on at the Livermore Library, talking about ChatGPT and the like. So you can go on online to the Livermore Library and find out all the great things that are going on, along with The Wild Robot, America Reads Together.
I don't remember the title exactly, but there is a homework helper program for some primary school students that was really successful. Is that still underway?
Oh yeah, that's at Rincon School. It's an after-school program that they have. The homework helper.
That's it.
That's still going on at Rincon.
That looks like it should be a terribly good success.
Yeah, Rincon Library.
Well, thank you for being here today, and thank you for watching this edition of Mayor's Report Livermore. Join us for the next episode of Mayor's Report right here on Tri-Valley TV. I'm Dr. Marshall Kamina, and I thank you so much for joining us.